Chairman Westerman, Ranking Member Grijalva, we appreciate you being here today as we continue our commitment to regular order and accountability to the American taxpayers. For purposes of the hearing today, we're going to do 5 minutes from both the chair and the ranking member, and then 5 minutes of questions total from each side of the dais. I'll now recognize Chairman Westerman for the purposes of an opening statement.
Chairman Stile, Ranking Member Morrell, thank you, and members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to present the Committee on Natural Resources budget request for the 118th Congress. I do recognize the challenging task that you have in allocating resources among committees and appreciate the opportunity to make the case for the Natural Resources Committee. And first off, I want to talk about the committee because I think there's it's one of the most underknown or underappreciated committees in Congress. Our committee turns out a lot of work. We've got 5 subcommittees with jurisdiction over American energy and minerals, over insular and tribal affairs, federal lands and waters, wildlife and fisheries, as well as oversight of the Department of Interior and certain agencies within the Department of Commerce and Agriculture. We are one of the busiest committees in the House. During the 117th Congress, we were first among all standing committees with 124 bills reported. We had a total of 109 hearings, 21 full committee markups. We also took our work to 46 different destinations across the U.S. and its territories. Yet while we're at the top of the list for legislative activity and jurisdiction spanning literally from the Arctic Circle to the Marianas Trench, we fall to number 11 amongst committees when it comes to funding levels. We're requesting a budget increase this year of roughly 9%, and that's levels for 2022. What this increase will do is allow the committee to attract and retain talented staff to address our broad and unique jurisdiction, to fund robust and a robust travel and field hearings agenda, oversight and educational site visits, and redesign and modernize our communications platform, including our website. A top priority of the Natural Resources Committee in this Congress is to bring Congress to the people. And when you think about the issues involving natural resources, this is something you really need to get outside the Beltway with. We've already had a field hearing and a field hearing in Odessa, Texas, and a site visit to New Mexico. And we're planning to hold at least 10 to 15 more field hearings in each session of the 118th Congress. This is the area where we need increased funding to achieve these goals. This is also a year that the compacts in the South Pacific, which fall under the jurisdiction of our committee, are being renewed, and we need to spend some time at our territories in the South Pacific and down in those freely associated states. So really what we're asking for is a larger travel budget and a slight increase to be able to attract and retain high quality staff members. And with that, hope that you will have a favorable consideration, and I believe Ranking Member Grijalva can verify the work that we're trying to do, and I'll yield back.
Thank you very much, Chairman Westerman. Ranking Member Grijalva is recognized for 5 minutes. Will the ranking member, is your microphone on? I can hear you clearly, but I know our live feed may not.
Is it on now? Should I start first? No. Please continue. Thank you. The chairman mentioned it. It's difficult to overstate the importance of the work of our committee. Our jurisdiction includes vital issues that go to the heart of so many of people's lives in this country. We oversee our people's public lands and waters, including conservation, recreation, and development. That multi-use mission of the committee. We are stewards of the very sovereignty of the tribal nations that we have, have been since before the Constitution. We have the responsibility of promoting self-determination and the well-being of U.S. territory and freely associated states. Those are important responsibilities, huge responsibilities of the committee that we collectively take very seriously. We're at the center of federal efforts toward environmental justice, and that concept has been made a vital component of any response to the climate crisis. Our committee oversees our national parks, wildlife refuges, fisheries, and other water resources in places of severe drought. We conduct oversight of the Endangered Species Act, the National Environmental Policy Act, and an array of other bedrock statutes. Over the last Congress, as the chairman indicated, the committee and its staff were extremely productive. In the 117, about 893 measures referred to us, held 141 official meetings, 21 full committee meetings, and filed 142 committee reports. Our friends at Energy and Commerce were second with 79 reports, a little less than half of what we produced. As told, our committee has passed scores of bills the House, and 149 passed the Senate and became law, 149. In the recent Congress, we have consistently punched above our weight. Although Chairman Westerman and I have a degree of policy difference, to say the least, and we feel quite strongly in our positions and our philosophies toward that multi-use concept and our jurisdiction, we do agree on the importance of our shared work, and that sustaining this level and the quality of activity requires a full roster of majority, minority, and nonpartisan staff. We want to attract and keep the best, and these skilled and dedicated public servants are needed now more than ever, and the resources help us retain and also bring into our personnel and into our professional ranks really, really good people that will serve the American people. I know that Chairman Westerman understands the importance of the resources for the minority, and having recently him being the ranking member in the previous Congress. We hope that the courtesies that we extended to each other as we move forward, there was a point in which the minority needed additional resources that we as the majority were glad to provide, because we understand that this is a shared responsibility we have, and we'll be bugging the chairman to return the courtesy at some point, but that your allocation to us will go a long way to that discussion. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the ranking member. The majority and minority will each now have 5 total minutes to ask questions. I will now yield to Mr. Carey for the purpose of asking questions for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Westerman and Ranking Member Caldwell, really appreciate your testimony today. And also, I know, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned that this is one of those committees that a lot of people don't watch. I will tell you, I spent 25 years watching the committee, sometimes with seeing the good things you did and sometimes not so good. But one of the things that you mentioned in your questionnaire was that of field hearings and on-site educational opportunities and increased oversight visits are among some of your highest priorities. I would agree with that, because I think it's very difficult for you doing what you're doing when you're looking at critical minerals, when you're looking at our energy deposits. It really is important to be on the ground. What additional resources does your committee need in order to perform these important oversight functions?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. And first off, you need staff. You can't. To plan these hearings takes a lot of logistics and a lot of effort. So we need staff to be able to do all of the planning and to make the field hearings worthwhile. When we did the Odessa field hearing, we were able to take folks from the recording studio down there, which gave the hearing a much higher quality presentation. We also need the funding to do that. So it kind of comes down to quality staff and funding, and those two also go hand in hand.
Thank you for that, and I would agree with that. The other thing, and Mr. Chairman, I think you were the one that mentioned, in your budget request, you mentioned that the Committee on House Administration's recent running an effective committee in the majority series and new professional development programs offered by the CAO have been beneficial to your committee staff. What additional training would you like the committee or the COA to provide, or CAO to provide?
Yeah, and we have had staff take advantage of the CAO training, and I think that's very important when we don't not only want to take quality staff in, we want to be able to develop those staff to even higher quality. So the programs that CAO offer gives our staff the opportunity to do that, and I do appreciate the committee's emphasis on that, and can say thank you from our committee for the opportunities for our staff to have professional development.
And just last question, and Chairman, what are the challenges that you foresee for your committee during this 118th Congress?
It's always a challenge when you're dealing with the issues that we're talking about inside a building here in DC to see the real effect that's happening out in the real world. You know, we're talking about mining, we're talking about oil and gas extraction, we're talking about fishing, we're talking about tribal issues and forestry, and nothing takes the place of being out in the field, seeing what happens in real life. I know as a forester, you can talk about it all you want in a room, but when you're standing out in the forest and you're looking at poor management or good management, it will make the light bulb come on. So it's a challenge for us on the educational side to make sure that we're making policy based on the best science and data and facts, and the way to do that is to get out in the field and talk to people who are facing the issues every day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your comments and wholeheartedly agree with your sentiments, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We reserve the balance of our time. I recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to you, Mr. Chairman, you, Mr. Ranking Member, for all of your hard work and your stewardship of the committee. Since you were talking about field hearings, I want to just get a sense. I asked this of the previous chair and ranking member when they came in. Within the last Congress, there was a system developed that coordinates Sergeant of Arms, Capitol Police, the clerk's office for purpose of court reporters, the chief administrative officer around broadcasting, live streaming, et cetera. Do you intend to use that system that's been developed to conduct your field hearings?
We do intend to use that like we did on the first field hearing that we did.
Very good. And just so I can be assured of this, I appreciate the fact that you two have agreed on budget and distribution of resources. Mr. Chairman, do you expect that you'll give unrestricted access to the resources that the minority has coming to them?
Yeah, we've tradition has been we divide the resources up 2/3 and 1/3, and that's the plan to do that going forward.
Great. And so you commit to making sure that they have access to the resource that you've allocated for them?
Correct.
Yeah. Mr. Ranking Member, are you confident that you will have access to the resources you need within the allocation?
Yeah, yes, I do. I don't have a question about that. In my time on this committee, that has been if not a policy, a tradition that has happened without question, and I have full confidence that that's going to occur.
Very good. Any questions? I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate both of you being here with us today. It's our commitment to openness, to regular order, and to transparency. And I appreciate your committee's commitment to a robust oversight agenda this Congress. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. And now we'll go back to hearing.